Well, hello folks, welcome to another episode of Whiskey Colin here. It's been a while since I've shot a video, and I thought, you know what, why not do it with one of my favorites in general, Ardbeg. I was just in the liquor store today and picked up this Smokiverse edition. I don't know much about it at all. I just saw it in the liquor store and thought, oh wow, this is something I definitely want to try. So if you guys have something peated yourself that you're drinking, or you have this, pour yourself a dram and sip along with me here, and we'll talk about some tasting notes. So it is, let's see here what we've got. So it's 48.3% alcohol. It says a high gravity experiment created using high gravity mashing. This Ardbeg day malt is a first for the distillery. From the dense swirl of a highly concentrated wort, our mash tun has given rise to a whiskey of monumental proportions. Take a sip and plunge your palate into a fruity, sweet, and utterly absorbing Ardbeg. Sounds pretty cool. Can't wait here. Can't wait. It also says here, in Ardbeg Sokiverse, energetic aromas of ripe barley and aromatic smoke make for a turbulent nose. Venture further and discover tropical fruits and clove. Finally, peat moss and bonfire embers fuse in a finish that blazes on. Sometimes I don't want to try to memorize everything they said with the tasting notes. It's more fun to just taste it sometimes and see how it hits. But anyways, give a look at the bottle here as well. And yeah, we're gonna crack this sucker open and give it a shot. Hope everyone is having a good, had a good spring, just heading into summer. Where we are, it's finally getting a little nicer outside. So looking forward to the summertime. See if I can't get this off here. Always the anticipation of a fresh new bottle. Never tasted this one before. Just get rid of all of that for now. All right, let's see if we can get a really good cork pop on this one. Not bad, not bad. Oops. Oh yeah, that's a good. Fairly smoky right off the hop there. Good healthy pour as usual. Let's see what the color here. It's fairly light colored. You know, if I recall, like one of my favorite Ardbegs is Ugadale, and if I recall, that's a bit of a darker look to it. This is maybe closer to maybe Ardbeg 10 in terms of color. As I said, I believe I mentioned it's 48.3%. So again, you know, Ugadale is usually around 54, I think 55%. And 10, I think is, Ardbeg 10, I think is 46% if I'm correct. So this is sort of in the middle somewhere. Let's see what, cheers everybody. I hope you got something in yourself. And let's first see what it smells like. Yeah, definitely a very smoky. It almost has a little bit of maybe a little bit of a saltiness to it, layered in there too on the nose. You could almost get a little bit into the cured meats almost thing going on. But, you know, a nice, pleasant smell. And, you know, a fairly rich and textured nose too here. There's a lot going on. You're getting, feels like multiple layers of aroma hitting at once. Folks, cheers. Hmm. Really, really well textured. You know what? First sip, I might say it's maybe a little bit sweeter than other Ardbegs I've tried. There's a sweetness to it, almost a light honey sweetness to it. You know, on the finish, there's definitely some spice going down, kind of like a pepper spice, and almost a little bit of a saltiness, but a lot of smoke going on, of course. I'm also getting kind of a, you know, when I'm taking a sip and just, you know, enjoying the experience of the taste of it, of the palate, it's kind of I'm almost picturing tree bark, you know. Very outdoorsy feel to it. Definitely can taste the peat and the everything that went into it. Yeah. Yeah, might be getting almost a slight barbecue sauce, ever so slight on the nose now that I've taken a sip. Maybe reminding me a little bit of a slightly sweet version of Smokehead. Sometimes Smokehead has a bit of a barbecue sauce element to it that I, you know, at least for me sometimes. Let's have another sip. You know, texture-wise, it's definitely not as thick texture-wise as Ugadale. And that's one of the things I love about Ugadale. Ugadale, thick texture, and got a real sort of ashy aftertaste, I find. This is a little bit closer, you know, Ardbeg 10 is thinner and a little lighter in general. This is sort of a bit of a mix between the two, I would say. On all those fronts, on texture, on heat. But yeah, as I'm talking, this has a bit of a little bit of a edgy, you know, cured meat saltiness to it too, which is really nice. Really nice combination with the smoke. The smoke is very textured. Very textured smoke on the nose and on the palate. And from a spice perspective, it reminds me a bit of Corey Vrecken, which is, of course, another Ardbeg edition. You know, I haven't bought in Corey Vrecken for a few years, so I assume it's still around in the same configuration. But if I recall correctly, I think it was around 57% or something. So that one was a very strong one, and found with that it could be very spicy, very hot, in a spicy way more than just an alcohol way. And this has got a bit of that layered through, along with Ardbeg 10, and along with, you know, in terms of the smokiness and a little bit more texture, thicker texture than 10, heading a bit more towards Ugadale. It would be very interesting actually to have all four lined up here and taste them. But I would say this is a good representation of all three of those kind of combined into this. You know, kind of right smack in the middle of all those things, of all those additions, with the texture, with the taste, with the ABV, all of it kind of goes in the middle. which you cannot go wrong at all with, you know, you can maybe find a little bit of Wee Beastie in this one too. That's another edition of Ardbeg that I find the Wee Beastie is a little bit more of a turpentine, rubbery, in a good way, composition to it, or taste and aroma to it. This might pick a little bit of that up too, as I'm talking more. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to take Wee Beastie, Ugadale, Corey Vrecken, and Ardbeg 10, mix it, let's say 25% each, pour it beside this, and see how close it is. I mean, I feel like that might be really close. So anyways, this is very representative, I feel, of Ardbeg. Love Ardbeg. It's one of my favorite brands. Ugadale is probably the favorite Scotch I've ever tasted in my life, just me personally, for a variety of reasons. The texture, the taste, well, those two. What else is there? Except for the finish, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, I'd recommend this. I mean, the price tag on this, I didn't shop around for this, but the price tag was pretty hefty. I paid 160 Canadian dollars for this. Feels like maybe that's a bit much for this edition. But definitely, you know, the new Ardbeg comes out, you want to try it, right? Of course. So, you know, maybe because of the process, or maybe because of, maybe it's limited, that the price is going to be a little higher, but definitely worth trying. Would recommend it. Enjoyed it. Great in the summertime. It's spring out right now. All the leaves are just coming out where we live here in Canada, and everything is just sort of suits perfectly well for a good peated Scotch. So folks, I hope you're heading into a good summer. We'll talk to you again very soon, and have a good day, everybody.